I don't hate it.
Oh.
So here is, normally I would say, go with big people, go with more marquee positions, than running back as far as the pay scale. They have a franchise left tackle. Andrew Thomas, excellent player when he's healthy. They obviously, hope and think they have their quarterback. They have spent massive capital via trade and their own draft picks on defensive linemen. I know they just traded away Dexter Lawrence, but you still have Thibodeau, you still have Abdul Carter, you still have Brian Burns. They have, a marquee receiver, but he's coming off an injury. So now maybe people might take issue with which receiver he's picking because he's the one who has injury history. But the idea of we've spent a lot of resources on the line, on both lines. Scattaboo is fun, but coming off an injury and just a guy. Let's give a dynamic running back weapon, another wide receiver, so neighbors, we have two, our weapons are taken care of. I would understand it. Like, I think the Giants are, for a team that is drafting 5th, they have more foundational pieces than you typically would. Sure. The Titans are drafting 4th. It feels like they have two pieces. They have their quarterback and Jeffrey Simmons, and then a bare cupboard. I don't feel that way about the Giants. So, unlike how I assume Coach will feel, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, you're right. So, offensively, they re-signed the right tackle. They brought in another tackle from Baltimore who had started the last 2 seasons. They brought in Isaiah Likely, paid him $40 million. They brought in Patrick Ricard, love it, big, gigantic fullback who can also play tight end. So they've done those things. Darnell Mooney, another guy they gave $3 million to. So they've addressed some of those things offensively. But defensively, they get rid of the biggest part of their run defense and Dexter Lawrence. And let's just take a look at how they did with all those pieces that they spent a lot of money with last year.
That's what John Harbaugh's going to fix.
So we're 31st in opponent rush yards per game, not great. 28th in yards per game, 25th in takeaways, 26th in points per game. So go right down the list, and you've taken away the biggest part of stopping the run that was 31st. So now, we're going to the Bengals mentality? We're going to try to outscore Dallas? We're going to try to,
No, I think you're going to try to, with the offensive weapons, get a lead and then actually be able to unleash your very highly drafted pass rushers. I think that would, so less, in an optimistic view, less the Bengals way and more the Peyton Manning Colts way. Get a lead and go.
When people pass is when they can't have success over and over again.
Or when they're trailing. Jeremiah Love just went for 90
yards. It'll be like body blows. They'll just beat you up and demoralize you until.
Yeah, I'm more with Coach. I love if they could get Jeremiah Love.
But because then it can go defense?
Yeah, because they got enough weapon. I mean, Malik Neighbors, I'm not counting on him being hurt every year, and I'm sure they aren't. So you got a legit number one. What is it, Darius Slayton? And you mentioned the other receiver they got. Those are decent 2 and 3. Likely, I think, is a very good tight end.
I like him.
Ricard at fullback. If you get Love behind him, I love it because I think that could be a good offense because the offensive line is good too. And you also get to find out what is Jackson Dart. We have enough talent where if he's good, he should be able to flourish with this. I don't think they need another receiver, but they do need, Coach. Now, I don't think there's an interior defensive lineman worthy of the 10th pick. Now, that's kind of the issue. But even if you take say you take an edge, they got a plethora of these edge guys. Maybe you trade Thibodeau? If you draft a guy that you like, do you trade Thibodeau to get something else?
3.0 and take Sonny Styles, the linebacker, who's a run defender at 5, and then go weapon at 10.
All right then. So, before we dive in, just a heads up, I'll be doing a live stream of the draft later today. Seriously, make sure you check it out. It's going to be a blast. I'm going with the vertical stream format, just a quick reminder for everyone. So yeah, vertical stream it is. Just go to my profile. I believe my profile picture will be highlighted, maybe glowing red or something, and it'll say live. Just tap that. It should be a lot of fun. I'm genuinely looking forward to it because it feels like this draft is shaping up to be pretty hard to predict. And it feels like there are so many of these skill position guys where nobody really knows how everything will unfold, right? I get the sense that often the draft gets way too fixated on quarterbacks, and that obviously carries enormous weight. This year, and obviously last year, there were really only two main QB names, Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders, plus Cam Ward for that matter, but this time around, it seems like there was less of a clear read on so many of the other non-quarterback prospects. Whereas this year, it feels like a real who's who mix of, wow, I mean, just looking at all the mock drafts and predictions, they're all over the place. Now, with the Giants making trades and moving pieces around, it should be pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. Normally, I don't pay much attention to the draft, but this time I'm honestly excited, especially with being able to live stream it. That said, I'm almost always in favor of going all in to support your young quarterback so you can truly figure out how good he is. I strongly believe in throwing every possible resource you have into putting your quarterback in the best position to succeed, to see him at his peak, so you can truly understand, when he has the right pieces around him, when he has protection, when he has receivers, etc., who exactly is this quarterback? What is he made of? Now, sure, there might be certain quarterbacks who can kind of rise above that early on, where you might not need as much support. But if you're in a position to go all in, then just do it. Go for it. When the Bears did that, I applauded them. And I support the same approach here. Don't get me wrong, you could argue, well, listen, if you have a great defense, and as Orlovsky recently said, the best way to support a young quarterback is to have an elite defense so you don't ask him to score too much. And that's true as well. It's always like, the best way to support your QB is a strong running game, or the best way is a great offensive line. And honestly, it depends, because all of it is true. The best way to support a young quarterback is simply to give him a good enough team to succeed. But all things considered, I'm not necessarily looking at this from that angle, and here's what's so interesting about how this team is currently built, okay? Normally, these days, it feels much more common and a bit smarter to spend your money on offense and find younger, cheaper drafted talent on defense. A lot of that is because defensive players tend to get banged up a lot. So, 1, if they actually go down, you don't want to be financially cornered. And 2, because they get injured frequently, when they're younger, they can bounce back much faster, etc. I think that's kind of proven true over the last several years, that this is a slightly smarter approach. But the reality is, this offense has the potential, if you make moves like this, to be so explosive, so elite, so overwhelming, and essentially for free, in football terms. Right? Anybody on rookie contracts, that's basically free. And that's pretty remarkable. Then, if you have defensive issues, because to me, you're not, you might say, oh, you're trying to copy the Bengals' approach. I'm not saying the Giants should be in a position to win a Super Bowl right now, okay? But you have the potential to just acquire elite offensive talent, the kind you'd normally have to pay a fortune for, but now you don't. You build this great team. You're still on a rookie quarterback contract, a rookie Jeremiah Love contract, Tyson's rookie deal, and you're not even paying Malik yet. You're in such an awesome situation to do that. And then, going forward, you can spend all your money on defense. All of it, pour all your resources into the defensive side moving forward. And at that point, you'd be looking at year 2 with this group, this coaching staff. Your offense would be incredibly refined, more experienced, with real continuity. And then you elevate your defense. Go out and sign free agents. Spend the money. Do what you need to do. You'd be set up beautifully. And when the time comes, the added benefit of having 2 great wide receivers, or just great weapons in general, look at what the Eagles were able to do. It's basically this: if you actually know what you're doing, if you're a well-run organization, you can sign both to favorable contracts. As long as you sign them early, use void years, and the receivers understand their roles and where they fit. That's how you get Devontae Adams on a good deal. That's how you get A.J. Brown on a good deal. That's how you can afford to bring in Saquon, etc. You know, I really appreciate that approach. Get the offense rolling. You also need to make this team feel exciting again. I'm not all about chasing fans just for the sake of it. Reigniting the fan base sounds good in theory, but in the end, what really reignites a fan base is building a great team, being a great team, right? That's what it comes down to. But something like this, because the Giants have really been going nowhere, and fast, you build an explosive offense, a great offense, and Jackson Dart rises to the occasion, and it just feels like, wow, this offense is humming. This team is legit. No matter how much of a mess your defense is, there will be so much energy and momentum in New York. Not just within the organization, but around the league in terms of players wanting to come there. It's New York. There's a massive fan base, all of that. You won't get that in Cincinnati. You're not going to get that. Cincinnati doesn't get energized by that at all, because it's Cincinnati. So, it's one of the big advantages. Just think about how much of a mess the Jets have been. Imagine if overnight they built one of the most explosive, exciting, high-flying, dynamic offenses. It would set everything on fire. I mean, it would go through the roof. It would be like, all right, baby. There would be so much momentum. We saw it even with the Giants before, with Scat Taboo and Jackson Dart. And I celebrated it, and I said, listen, they're going to need a lot more. And even all that dancing and stuff, I said, you know, they'll need to settle that down eventually. But right now, I appreciate it. I respect it. And it's what this team needs. It's what this organization needs. And I just think they're in a bit of a process right now. So, I would fully support it, honestly. I think that would actually be a great direction to take. I think it's the most exciting path. The most energizing path. And this is also where you would then want to trust Harbaugh in next year's free agency and in the draft. And it's like, okay. Also, find the value of defensive players in the second and third rounds, in the later rounds. Find that. It doesn't have to be this automatic either / or where I. Tease first round or bust. Find the talent. Find the value later. This is what I always say about some of these teams. You're either a well-run organization or you're not. You either know how to build a great team or you don't. So, it doesn't have to be this sacrificial thing, oh, well, if we use these 2 picks in the first round, then automatically our defense is ruined. You know? It's like, no, and actually, if you're going to move on from a beast of a defensive player who's 30 years old, and you're now going to get a top draft pick, if you can turn that into an elite offensive player for the next 10 years, or 8 years, whatever it is, okay. I'll take that. I'll absolutely take that. And I get a huge chunk of cap savings on a discount for the next 3 years out of it. Yeah, that's a home run. And worst case scenario, this is what I've been emphasizing a lot too, when we look at these kinds of drafts, I don't think we should evaluate them on a single-year basis. People say, let's say you can draft, let's say Jeremiah Love is supposed to be truly, truly special. Let's say you reach that conclusion. This guy is going to be transcendent for a team. But your offensive line isn't good, right? And people will say, you've got to draft that tackle. You've got to fix that line. Jeremiah Love won't be able to do anything until you fix that line. My logic is, okay, so you draft Jeremiah Love now, and then in next year's draft or next offseason, whatever it is, you can fix he line. So, sure, we might not get the absolute perfect version of Jeremiah Love today. But I'm not anticipating Jeremiah Love being available next year, in next year's draft or free agency. But I do know that when I look at this guy's contract, that guy's contract, he should be available in free agency. He should be on the trade block. So-and-so might be a top 15 pick next year. So, I like our chances of being able to improve, get the right tackle, whatever it may be. Because people are like, oh, this is what happened with Ashton Janty. What happened with Saquon? And it's just like, it doesn't have to be in this exact order. You've got to look at these teams on a 2 to 3 year timeline. Right? If you were like, we have one chance to win the Super Bowl right now, this year, who do we take? Then yeah, okay. If your O-line is a mess, maybe you fix that first before drafting the Jeremiah Loves of the world. Sure. But that's not what you're looking at. That's not what you're trying to do right now. If the Raiders fix their O-line, and they made some free agent moves, and it's like, okay, Ashton Janty couldn't do anything last year. But this year, with the right quarterback, the right coach, and improved O-line, and Janty is awesome, a top running back in the NFL, does that mean it was wrong that they didn't know? Because this year, they're not in a position to draft, it wouldn't be Janty, it would be Jeremiah Love. They're not in a position to draft Jeremiah Love right now. They have to draft their quarterback. So, it depends so much on where your needs are. Now, if they didn't need a quarterback then they weren't drafting Mendoza, you could argue, oh see, if they hadn't drafted Janty last year, they could have taken this tackle, this center, and then they'd be able to draft love this year. Yeah, if that's how it unfolded, if that's where their needs were, but it wasn't. You're kind of banking on the Giants. That's why, you're banking on Jeremiah Love being him. You're banking on Tyson being him. League numbers, him. Jackson Dart, him. You're banking on those things. And if that ends up being true, the order in which you do it doesn't really matter from my viewpoint. They're not one draft away from winning the Super Bowl. They're a draft away from being really competitive and feeling like, okay, we're moving in the right direction. But it's next year. Next year is when you can really bring everything home. Can you be competitive? It was supposed to go that way for the Texans, and things didn't work out, injuries from 23 to 24. Same with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Sometimes you hit the ground running and pop. And then it's like, okay, it's that next year. They couldn't hit the ground running and pop, and they had to hire a new coaching staff. So really, this year is when it's kind of fun, a little exciting, interesting, but then it's that next year when you look to take over. That's what the Texans were trying to do when they brought in Diggs and so on. And again, they got destroyed by injuries. Questions about C.J. Stroud, the O-line, coaching staff. They didn't have all their boxes checked. Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, they all just got decimated by injuries. The Eagles, they got some stability in 21. Then 22, they figured it all out, went all in, hired the right coaching staff, went to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, the Giants don't have that continuity here, so it's not really like 2021 for the Eagles. It's more like, 2020.5. So again, a ton of progress can be made here, but to me, it's about that. It's about next year, taking that next step forward. And that's what we've seen pretty consistently with a lot of these teams. So, those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the New York Giants? Should they go all in on weapons for Jackson Dart? How do you feel about Jeremiah Love, Jordan Tyson? I mean, listen, if Jeremiah Love is available at 5, that'd be crazy to me. I think, a lot of people think he's either going to go 3 or 4. And the Cardinals now have a lot of momentum, apparently, toward taking Love. But we'll see. That's why I definitely say join the live stream, because again, I don't know, man. I think we might see some fireworks in the draft. I might see a lot of interesting things. Last year, the draft was everybody was so hyper-focused on Shadur Sanders. Oh my god, he's dropping. And nobody could have any other conversation beyond that. We don't really have that situation here. So, the conversation should be flowing and quite interesting. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some debates. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. I'd absolutely love to see you as part of it. I want to build something we all genuinely feel connected to. Something we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.